All right. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's journal recap. It is the 11th of February, and I'm just gonna go right into it. Yeah, so let's just get started. So coming into the day, I had a bullish bias. The reason for that is because if we look here, we ended up displacing heavily bullish. You can see here from like previous sessions, right? Like on the hourly, we're bullish. On the 30-minute, the 5, like we are heavily bullish. We've been continuously bullish over the past few days. And so, yeah, just kind of something to note. But yeah, so we had a bullish bias, whatever. As you can see here, we ended up having a bunch of basically like bearish PD arrays that I wanted to take out prior to. One thing I do want to note is that if we look at ES and just looking at the behavior of it, we can see a lot of things. The reason why I had a bullish bias was because we created a SMT. As you can see here, ES created an SMT with ignore this because that gets taken out, whatever. Basically, we create an SMT off of here, right? And I don't know why this is not working out, you know, or why that was canceled, but whatever. There we go. We basically have an SMT at this level, right? So I was bullish. We had conviction to go higher. Great. What I wanted to see was perhaps ES coming down, sweeping into this 4-hour intermediate low, and then getting some kind of inversion to the upside. That would have been great, and what I would have wanted to see. Even if there was an SMT here, that doesn't really mean anything. What I really wanted to see was some form of manipulation, then sweep out the highs. And I know that you saw this. This is also an SMT. We have a large bearish SMT with ES and NQ at this 4-hour gap. Let me show you the 4-hour gap too. This is the 4-hour gap. I don't know what we're talking about here. This is the 4-hour gap. ES manages to sweep into it, NQ does not. The reason why this doesn't really matter that much is because we are looking at the displacement of what NASDAQ and ES does. ES is heavily bullish enough to where we're able to reach into this and not immediately displace lower. If we ended up sweeping into here at 10 on Monday, right? If we ended up doing that, we should have displaced lower and then continued that trend lower, right? But we didn't. What we did was we created a gap here, another 4-hour gap. We ended up filling into it and displacing into it, and then or manipulating into the gap and then displacing above, right? As you can see here, that's exactly what we did. We manipulated into the gap and then we displaced higher. And I believe that's basically what London session did. Asian session, yeah, accumulation and then distribution and possible manipulation is what I wanted to see. Sorry, accumulation, manipulation, and distribution is what I wanted to see. Cool. So now we're on the same page. I hope we have, and I'll just say we have data lows equal lows 4-hour intermediate low, and a 15-minute unfilled gap down below. Perfect. So let's see what happens at market open. And we end up trading lower. We bought data lows, and then boom. So I know I'm going a little bit fast, but basically what happened here was we ended up going down. We swept out data lows, equal lows in 4-hour. I'm looking at to see what the highest time frame inversion is. Right? We have a trading leg here. 2-hour no, 3-hour no, 4-hour no, 5-hour no, not yet. Well, we do, but it would have to be. It would be right here. 5-minute has not formed yet, so technically not the highest time frame inversion, which is okay. What happens next? We create a minute inversion. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm blanking on this. And then towards an unfilled 5, basically, because it forms in 2 minutes. So 5-minute forms right here. I don't enter this trade because of one specific reason. Sorry, hold on. I don't enter this trade because of one specific reason. What is this? This is an unfilled. Keep doing that. Sorry. This is an unfilled 15-minute right here. We do not trade if there is an unfilled 15-minute that is not a breakaway gap at our stop loss. We can, we can, we can, but it doesn't really mean anything if we are looking at like higher time frame narrative, right? But in this case, I'm not so confident in myself that I would take a trade like that. And it is kind of against my rules, so I'm not going to do it regardless. So I faded it and it went to our stop loss basically. Then what happens here, right? We have some form of manipulation. So this is a um manipulation into the unfilled 15-minute, and then we immediately displace higher. What is this? A stop raid, right? This is basically a stop raid. Like we swept into the gap and then we displaced higher immediately. There was a 30-second gap here that people traded, and then we opened up towards the unfilled 5-minute above. Still unfilled. So that was a good trade. And people took that and then they won. I couldn't take that because I didn't have the opportunity. Sucks, but it is what it is. But yeah, moving forward, we can see that we ended up invalidating this 5-minute gap, which also could have been another opportunity. Just there we go. Stop loss above the body or below the body of the swing low, and then we target a good 1-to-1, as you can see here. And then what does price do? We go up. We end up sweeping into this 1-hour intermediate high. I would break even at this point or take profit, but price does not go there, and then we immediately go back to our break even. It is what it is. We could have put our stop a little bit above here, but one, I faded this trade because I just wasn't confident in the draw anymore. Just especially just looking at like the chop and then price action just being a little bit messy. Also, on I believe right when we filled this gap, ES was kind of a little bit. Actually, ES was fine. Honestly, we could have taken it, but I just didn't want to because of the RR. Like it was just really bad RR. But I most likely should have just entered on it. But it is what it is. Anyways, we end up creating this 5-minute unfilled and then a 5-minute unfilled. So we have two 5-minute unfilled gaps below. Right here and then right here. So there's two, right? What does price do? We end up tapping into this. We end up creating a 4-minute gap as the highest time frame inversion right here. And then what do? We enter after price inverses the gap right here. Great. So there's a few things wrong with this trade. One is that even though this was a manipulation off of the 5-minute, and we were sponsored, technically sponsored, because the swing low, this kind of forms the 5-minute. So realistically, it is a little bit sponsored, and it was a continuation trade, but that was not why we were. That's not the reason. Anyways, whatever. That's not the reason why we lost, um, or why we won, or whatever, or should have won, or whatever. But we basically had low resistance at our stop right here, and then we had buy side liquidity left intact by the time of our entry. Or sorry, we don't. So this is a big important thing. We do not have like buy side level intact by the time of our entry, right? So this is on the 1-minute, but if you wait, what is going? Is this stuck? Hello? I'm gonna fix this. Okay, sorry about that. So picking off from where we left off, we have low resistance at our stop. We also ended up sweeping into this buy side liquidity by the time of our entry. So we have an SMT, an internal SMT off of this point. This should have been enough reason for me not to trade. I'm not gonna lie with you. We have low resistance, we have SMT, and then in addition to that, we ended up if you look at the hourly, we basically ended up turtle swooping this hourly gap. So not what I wanted to see. What I wanted to see was a complete displacement above and then continue higher. But that's not what we saw, and I should have noticed that, but I didn't. So we have higher time frame narrative why it doesn't work, and we have lower time frame narrative why it doesn't work as well. So this trade should have been 100% faded. but I took it because I was basically being like a pattern trader. I just saw like price sweep into this unfilled 5 minute, and then I saw like I just took the first inversion that I got from it, which was 4 hour or 4 minute. I'm sorry. Also, another thing is that if you look at this gap or the candle closure, it is very bad because we basically wick above. We're basically like indecision. It's a indecision candle in my opinion because we're kind of unsure where it goes, and there's not enough displacement above where I'm like, okay, price definitely wants to go higher from there. Even if we looking at these candles, we ended up like this candle was very telling, or should have been very telling because we ended up wicking into the C of this wick or of this gap, and then we ended up closing below it. So that tells me that price tried to go above, but we didn't have enough strength to actually close above, right? And eventually we did, but that's probably just due to manipulation and like a bunch of other crap that I'm not sure about. But yeah, that's kind of my trade for the day, and yeah, I mean that's really all I had to say. We had equal lows at our stop too, which was kind of sucky, but it is what it is. Yeah, we literally had equal lows at our stop. So price definitely traded back into that, as you can see. This is why we lost. I don't know if I said that. We lost because of this. Yeah, or we lost anyhow. We just lost. Yeah. It is what it is. But yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day or night, whenever you're watching this.